Welcome to season 2 of the Transformation Perspective. Yes, I'm back. I am your host, Harper. We're going to change topics for season 2 of the Transformation Perspective. Um, we are not going to talk about politics anymore. Oh, yay! Everybody's so excited. No more politics. Maybe viewership will go up. Maybe, I don't know. Um, I'm going to get really real with everybody, and I'm going to get really personal and very vulnerable because this one is very personal to me about mental health. Um, and I think it needs to be brought more to awareness and not so much with a negative stigma and a negative connotation. Um, and this one goes out to someone I met in behavioral health these last few days of taking a look at mental health and trying to look at it from the positive side. So if you do get a chance to watch this, you know who I'm referencing. So it's a shout out to you. So with further ado, welcome to the season premiere of the Transformation Perspective. So we're going to be talking about mental health this season. And today is all about just like introducing what mental health is. And I'm going to give you kind of my story. Um, and where I want to start with is my journey to where I am today. Yeah, I look like crap today because I got discharged today from um, a mental health behavioral unit. Um, I spent the last 4 days there um, and about 4 or 5 days in and out of the hospital dealing with um, some mental health and physical ailments. So it's been a struggle. And if you do have some mental health, it is real and it is okay to ask for help and be vulnerable in those moments. Um, and I do want to thank all my friends that did support me. I do want to thank one particular friend. I don't want to name any names. I don't want to put them out there, but if they ever do watch this, they'll know who they are. Uh, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your life, kind of putting your life on pause, your job on pause, um, and trying to figure out how to take care of me with my mental health, my physical health, and everything, and trying to figure out how to take care of me because that was so difficult. And I'll go into more details later in this episode and further episodes, but I just want to take a moment to thank them for everything they did for me and to find a spot for me in the behavioral health because they did an amazing job. They really did. And they are such a special friend that I have, and I'm so grateful um, I have them in my life. So thank you from the bottom of my heart and all my other friends that sent the support and love for me. Uh, so with that, this is why I can be vulnerable. So I have PTSD, um, and that is from uh, my sexual harassment. So if you don't already realize, I am trans. I am a transgender woman. Um, so I was sexually harassed as a teacher by another colleague, another teacher at a previous school I worked at. which caused severe trauma for me, which felt like I was stripped of my humanity. Um, and if anyone out there has ever been sexually harassed, I'm sorry for you. It's a terrible thing. I wish it never happened to you, and I wish it would never happen to anybody. I don't want it to happen to anybody, because it's not okay. It's not fun. Um, and I'm not going to talk about the details right now. That's not what this episode's about. But I just want to share some vulnerability of what I've been diagnosed with, for that. And from that has led to another diagnosis of dissociative disorder, um, which really comes down to, not fully diagnosed, but kind of on the spectrum of dissociative identity disorder. Um, and kind of what that entails is having more than one identity inside you. It used to be called multi personality disorders. Um, and they say you lose the memories of who you are and you don't remember, the other identities and whatnot. But that's not how I operate. So I don't really fully fit that model of what psychologists and psychotherapists, definition is. Because when I disassociate, what happens is whoever takes over me, eventually my memories start to flood their head with their memories, which is just a hot jumbled mess. And then when I associate back, I remember everything. But in a true dissociative identity disorder, that's not the case. You have your memories, but you can't remember the other personalities' memories. And this is what I tried to say to therapists and, um, psychiatrists, and they don't believe me. And it's like, well, that's your opinion, but I'm also the one living my life. So I'll go into more details of that in other episodes, but I just want to share like two of my disorders that I've got. I've been diagnosed with anxiety as well and depression. On top of that, those are common for most people. But the two big ones is, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I really wanted to touch base with my dissociative disorder, and that's what I was in the hospital for, is disassociation. Um, and that's really difficult to manage. And I thought my friend who took care of me did such an amazing job. And any of you that are out there that has disassociation disorder, um, what my friend did was just you go along with it. You don't you don't tell the person that's disassociated that they're lying, they're making it up and stuff like that. It only makes the person more terrified, because that's what it is I was terrified. When I disassociate, this time around I was terrified. The first time it happened in 2023, I wasn't terrified at all. The two identities that came through were not terrified. Were they confused? Sure. But they kind of just fit in. If you're watching on TikTok, finish the episode on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Welcome to. So continuing on, uh, But this time around, the personalities that came through were extremely terrified. So each experience is unique and different, and each person with a dissociative disorder, it's unique. It's not the same. And that's what it's so important to talk about mental health because it's your journey, it's your story. Just like being trans is your story, your journey. No one else can tell you what it is, how to go about it. Well, this is the right or the wrong way to do it. Um, you know, being in the behavioral health, I stopped them. I questioned them. And they're like, "Well, it's the voices you're hearing." I said, What voices? What assumptions do you know that are voices that you think I'm hearing?" "Well, there are voices." I said, "I don't hear voices. There are no voices that are being heard in this situation." And then I started questioning them based on my knowledge. My knowledge as a social studies teacher on all the fields of sociology, psychology, government, economics, history, every social field I take and I start questioning them and ask them questions back. And they said, "Well, it's not about me, it's about you." I said, "No, to get to know me and understand me, I want to know what you know." And they can't answer my questions. So if they can't answer my questions, how can they treat me properly? If I ask hard questions, "Well, you're the patient and you disassociated." Yeah, but they have Harper's memories now. And if, and here's the thing, the person that identity that I had these last 4 days when I disassociated, her name was Sarah Jones. And Sarah Jones, if you ever see this, here's to you. She got my memories. Eventually, my memories flooded her brain, or my brain and her memories jumbled together. This is how my disassociation works. And maybe someone else out there in the world, your disassociation works like mine. And this is why it's so important. I'm doing season 2 with mental health and sharing my story and then going into research. And maybe other people want to join me and share their stories too. But once Sarah Jones had my memories, she went on the offensive and said, "No, stop stigmatizing me as a voice. I just want to go home. I just want to go back to where I came from," which in this case, she was from 2070. Yeah, it sounds crazy. And that's the thing that people look at mental health is, "Oh, you're a lunatic. You're crazy." It's all negative connotations. However, when it comes to mental health, we don't know a lot about the brain. The brain is such a mysterious organ, and it's also super complex. So, when it comes to mental health, why can't we keep an open mind? Keeping an open mind and trying to understand that there's a possibility, an endless possibility of things that are out there. That's what's important. When I was sitting in the behavioral health unit, I was reflecting on the differences of after having a conversation with um, my mother about all this, and she was dismissing me, saying, "This is not real. You're making this all up." And it was the same thing that the physicians were saying, the doctors were saying, the therapists, the psychiatrists were saying, it's all in your head. You're making this stuff up. And there's that negative connotation, and there's the approach. But what if we chose to look at it from a positive outlook and we try to learn from it? We try to learn from our own brains in these situations and what our brains were actually trying to tell us. Instead of like, oh yeah, you're right. And shut out what is being said to us and actually listen to that message. And so I was thinking about that and reflecting about that. It's like, wait a minute. For those who are religious and read the Bible, all those messages say they came from God. Well, then wouldn't you consider those mental health patients too? Because they were hearing voices. And if you're hearing voices, that would be a dissociative disorder, right? Another personality in your head. So then technically, all religion is a dissociative disorder, and God couldn't exist based on psychology and psychiatry if you base it off of that context. But we sit here, and I'm not dismissing religion. That's not the knock that I'm making. What it was is a reflection. If you can put your faith in something you've never seen in your entire life, based on what is written in a book, based on what people dreamt about, or God has spoken to you, or angels have come to you, if you can believe that, then why can't it be also possible with mental health that the brain is connecting to the universe in another way? Or a different plane, another universe, or like they use for Marvel, the multiverse. What if that's possible? What if our brains are capable of doing it? It sounds so outlandish, I know, right? It's so out there. Oh, Harper, you're a little cuckoo, 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 right? But it's those who have an open mind. This is how you advance human civilization. You have a closed mind and a closed perspective, you don't advance civilization. Yeah, a wheel, that's not going to help. And all of a sudden we start traveling further. You start planting those seeds you've harvested. No, it's not going to work. Oh, wow, we can grow more food. Interesting. If you domesticate that sheep and that cow and that horse and that pig, and now we have food. Interesting. Every idea starts with the hypocrisy, but someone has to start with that idea. Even in mental health, even in the field of psychiatry, in the field of psychology, sociology, whatever, enlightenment ideas, what I talked about in season 1, it all starts with one. One individual makes a difference. Did I get a lot of hate in season 1 on all my comments? I sure did. I sure did. And you see this beautiful smile? Oh, yeah. I ate it up. Because there's a lot of people out there who, for some reason, just want to hate on things that are different. It's not going to be any different in season two, talking about mental health. Yeah, I'm different. And you know what? Now it's time to start owning up to the fact that I'm proud of being trans. You know what? And I'm proud of having a mental health disorder, right? I have a dissociative disorder. I have PTSD. You know what? I'm proud of it and I'm going to turn that into a positive, and I'm going to try to make a difference in the world in this season two. Is it going to be triggering for some that are out there? Yes, that's my disclaimer. But I'm trying to make a difference. This is my healing process to help, because what I've learned in the 4 days in the behavioral health unit and my suicide attempt in 2023, sexual harassment, there's this association that I had, all those things, those stories I want to share because there are others like me with stories out there that maybe are too afraid to share. You might not be trans, you could be cis, you could be male, you could be female, you could be whatever. And you might just be too afraid to talk about it. Heck, our government in the United States is too afraid to pass any gun legislation to protect schools or protect any kind of mass shooting because of mental health, because we're all too afraid of the Second Amendment. But if you actually read the language of the Second Amendment, it's not the right to own a gun. It's the right to bear arms in an organized militia. An organized militia should not be one person walking into a school and shooting it up, or walking into a grocery store or a church and shooting it up. But here nor there, we're talking about that. It's the mental health. We don't condone mental health. Heck, it's not easy to get access to mental health on insurance, can be denied coverage. You can't get mental health um, coverage for a therapist or a psychiatrist. It's being denied. It's out of your network. That the ones you need to have. It's all terrible in this country. So until those changes start to come, we're going to have to bring awareness to it. And if that's my job on this video cast, I'm going to do it. And if I have to receive the hate, because I received so much hate in season one for doing a video cast about the election, then I'll take it. Because there's always that first person that receives the hate to start laying the foundation, start creating the road for the next generation of people. So I'm willing to be vulnerable and I'm willing to share my journey with my mental health. And I'm going to do the research for you. I have plenty of stories to share about, like I said, my suicide attempt, my disassociations, and all that. And I want to do a quick shout out. Um, I'm not going to identify anything like this, but I know my students watch. Thanks for the support. Thanks for getting help for me um, when I basically collapsed in class. Um, I know that was terrifying. I know that couldn't have been easy. So thank you. And thanks for being brave. And thank you to my incredible staff for having to be brave as well and calling the paramedics and treating me. And I thank all the nursing staff and all the paramedics that took care of me um, in the hospital and the behavioral health units. If you do catch this episode, I appreciate you for everything you did to take care of me because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you dating all the way back to 2023 and even in the last 8 days. So please join me. It's going to be a really an emotional, crazy season two about mental health. But I wanted to be vulnerable and share the fact that, yes, I've been in the hospital, I've been in behavioral health for the last 8 days. And it's inspired me to take a step away from politics and focus on mental health because I think it's a big thing. There's a lot of amazing people that are in getting help that need a voice, and I'm okay for being that voice for them. So, if you want a story to be shared, um, leave a comment. I don't really read comments. I just know it pops up, and a lot of them are negative, but maybe this time they'll be more positive because that's the outlook I want to have is um, turn mental health into a positive perspective. That's what my video cast is all about, the transformation perspective. Let's have a different perspective about mental health in season two. So, with that, subscribe, share this episode out, like it, all right? And heck, leave a message about your journey, your mental health, and maybe share something. Heck, even drop a little video message about yours, and maybe I can try to tie it in somehow. Okay. This is all about being vulnerable in this season. It's going to be tough. We're going to cry. We're going to laugh. We're going to have fun. And gosh, I hope I can have some guests this season because that'd be really fun. Thank you for joining me. And thanks for being vulnerable with me. I really do appreciate that. Click the surprise. It's been a long 8 days. Subscribe button, like it, and share it. All right. See you for episode 1 at some point. I need to get to bed. All right. Love you all. Bye.